Hi everyone, I'm Jecelyn. I'm from the Chrome DevTools team. So today I will talk about Chrome DevTools, of course, but I want to focus on the part that how we try to remove the frictions along the debugging journey to make your debugging flows better. So let me start with a personal story. Perhaps you have similar stories like that. So recently, my partner and I, we moved to a new house. The good thing is they have a garden. The bad thing is they have a garden which the grass grow from time to time. And then as a lazy person, we wait until the last minute after the grass grow for a certain length. Then we try to, we have to clean the garden now. So we walk across the garden and we found that we actually have a pair of scissors in the garden to do the job. But we need to do that manually. That still do the work. And then after that, since we newly moved to the house, we vaguely remember that in the cellar, 2 levels down in the garage, the landlord actually left us an electronic grass trimmer to do the stuff. And then we are like, but we are also not that sure whether the grass trimmer is there. It's faster, but we are not so sure. So guess which one we choose? The manual one or the automatic one? Yeah, so we choose the manual one because we think that we can live with that. It should be just fast. 1 hour into the process of manually cutting, we finally went down to the cellar and then searched around the messy cellar, and then finally we found it, and then we do the job under 10 minutes, done. So the reason why I tell this story is not to tell you how lazy I am. It's not. But to think about what are the frictions that I can remove between this process of me finding and then cutting the grass, how we remove the friction from this process in order to prepare for the next trim. If you think of it, DevTools probably is like sometimes it's like your garage, it's like your cellar, 2 levels down. We have a lot of these hidden tools that you might sometimes know it from your colleague, but when you're really have a problem, when you try to debug it, and then you might find that, there's this feature, maybe it's too far away. I roughly remember that. Sometimes it might be not enough time to do a Google search to get the result, and then you just leave it wherever you can, try to debug the thing. And sometimes it's because the tool is really too hidden, too far away, or it could be sometimes that you don't know what you don't know. The tool exists, you don't even think about finding it and using that. So, take for an example, inspecting and debugging disappearing element. So I guess a lot of us have these issues before, like if you are using Daisy UI or any UI that have a pop drop-down, sometimes the drop-down result or the styling is not correct. You want to inspect the result and do some code changes. Or the other one, probably you have a search drop-down, like the YouTube one, that you want to inspect on the result and do something on it. Or if you are using Bootstrap, this is the popover that have the questions. So let me do the demo now to show you the problem. Oh, by the way, the first slide that I showed just now is a real screenshot that I took from here. You can actually use %C in the console log to pass in your style, to style your message nicely like this. Cool. Okay, get back to the disappearing element. So let's say if I click on this dismissible popover, I want to debug this thing. I want to change the style. So what I would do is that usually I would just click on the inspect icon. Oh, my browser freeze. Let me just refresh that, do that again. Do that. Okay, the whole browser freeze. This is doing live demo on the stage. Cool, I will open a new tab on it. Okay, I'm using Chrome Canary, by the way, it's cutting edge. Yeah, that's what cutting edge means. Okay. Let me just open this one. Okay, cool. So you want to debug this. if you try to click on this icon and try to inspect it, you see, that thing is gone. How many of you faced this scenario before? Okay, so the way that you do this, maybe you go and change your code, or maybe you go and inject a set timeout, like don't know how many seconds, in order for you to do the action quickly and then come back to the flow. So the thing is, there's this feature in DevTools that exists for probably 5 or 6 years already, but no one discovered that. But recently, we do something good. We make it slightly visible. So now if you go to the Elements panel, Styles tab, if you go to this hover button here, if you click on it, there is this function called Emulate a Focus Page. If you tap on that, now you can inspect it. And this checkbox itself, it is a global setting. You can just turn it on and never turn it off. OK, is it useful? If it's useful, give me a clap. Yeah? OK, now you might say that this name, why is it called Emulate a Focus Page? By reading the name, I also do not know. This is for debugging disappearing element. This is a good question. No one asked here, but I answer myself because I get this question a lot. So if you want to understand why this pop-up disappear, there's a reason behind it. So this sort of pop-up and the dismissible thing, sometimes it's because of they are depending on the document dot has focus state. So by the way, I'm using this little button here. This is called live expression, which you don't need to refresh DevTools and add in your value from time to time. It will just automatically run every time and keep track to update it. So this document has focus now because I'm in DevTools, means that my document, the page itself, is not focused. So that's why if I move my cursor to the page, now the document has focus is true. So if I click on DevTools again, it is gone. That's why the page, the thing is dismissed because the page is no longer focused. This emulate a focus page basically is to fake the focus back to the page so that whatever element that you debug, that based on this focus state, then you can debug it. And we have a long discussion about this feature because this is so intuitive and then it's like a regular problem that developer hits. Initially, we want to try making this checkbox enabled by default so that you don't need to think about it and you can just debug your issues. But the thing is, for those of you, if you have like some background process that depends on this API, it's called the Page Visibility API. So, for example, if you open a new page, your document is no longer visible. Turn on this setting will impact this because the page will keep on remaining visible even if you move to other page. So let's say if your page depends on some, if the page go to the background, you have some process to run to test it, then this wouldn't work if you open DevTools. So after evaluating the risk, we decide to, oh no, we are not going to turn it on by default, but you can turn it on and one time and then forget about it to debug these issues. Okay, so just now I mentioned this feature actually exists for 10 years. It is in the rendering tab. Anyone used the rendering tab before? Okay, compared to the hands up just now, it's much lesser. So this is hidden like quite a long process. So it's like you need to click on this three-dot menu. What happened to my mouse today? Okay, never mind, I have to the rendering tab. And then you need to scroll down all the way. Somewhere maybe, oh, you see, I can't even find it. Somewhere here. Yeah, so somewhere here, here, emulate a focus page. Then you can turn it on to do that. That already exists for many years. The thing is, this is so far away. So by moving it closer, we hope that it solves what we do is that we also track the usage. So we saw that 1,500% increase on the usage. So I hope that you are in this 1,500 now and have less suffering when you try to debug the disappearing element. Okay, sometimes it takes more than just moving stuff to remove the frictions from your development flow, debugging flow. Take another example, overriding network responses. This feature is also exists in DevTools for many years. So let me show you what I mean. So anyone of you heard about this feature? Okay, quite a lot of hands, but also quite a lot of hands. Okay, so if I refresh this page, what I can do is for the JavaScript, CSS, and document file, or whatever file, what I can do is I actually can override this style.css file to inject my new style. So for example, I open it in the Styles tab. So what I can do is I can go to this arrow here, click on Override, and then enable this local override to try to mock the responses, basically. So if I enable this, what I can do now is that I can start writing some script here. Let's say the background. I change it to lavender. So I can do this. When I save it, it will sustain across page load. It's different from what you do in the Elements panel. It doesn't sustain across page load. But this is good, that you can do this. But the thing is, how many steps that you need to do? You need to first see the result in the network panel, go to the sources, find the resource, and not only that, you need to click on this dot, and then to find the override button to enable it first to begin with. So this is a lot of steps. So what we do now is that in the network panel, what you can do is you can just right-click on a file, and then there is consistently this override header, override content button that you can click. You can do this for the JavaScript file as well. So you can just override the content, and then we'll just save it for you, even you haven't do that yet. And moving it closer is not enough. We also make it consistent that if, let's say, you don't have, in order for you to do override, you need to set up a folder locally so that we can store the result in that folder. So even if you haven't set up the folder yet, we consistently show the menu there. So if you haven't set up, we will just show you a setup menu to have you, hey, click a folder, select it, and to set it up. And if you already override the content, you can come back to here and edit the same file again and again. And we also add a little bit more features into it to support mocking APIs and mocking response header. For example, in here, I like boba tea, so let's search for a boba tea. Uh-oh, see, the API endpoint doesn't work. So what do we do now? We probably go to this fetch result and see that, oh, the result is 404. Since like this is my local development, I'm developing this website, then I was like, oh yeah, the backend engineers haven't have the result ready yet. So sort of like either we create our own API, mock the API with whatever fixed server that you have, or you just change the result in your code. There's another way to do that. What you can do is you can right-click, and then you click Override Content. And then what you do is you paste in, OK, yeah. I have a data store here, so I will just copy the data, go to the request that I override, paste that in to mock it, and then now I tried it again. The result is here. So I can use this mock result as long as until the backend engineer say that, hey, the API is ready. Then I delete this override result and use the one that the server provides. Is this nice? OK. So by moving it closer, making the experience consistent, we saw about 200% increment in the usage of this feature. I hope you go and try so that the next time I do the checking again, it will be 400%. And bonus, in order to make it more helpful, there is one more frictions that we can remove from this whole process. So for example, let's say now you have finished the development, you deployed it to the production. Very good. When you go to the production page, I do the same thing again. This time, the error is different. It says the types is like failed to fetch. So what do I do now? I go and read my console. It says that there's no access control origin. As an experienced developer, I know what does this mean, but it can be a lot of reasons that causing this. But as a junior developer, it can be really, I don't know where to start and how can I get more help on this. So the next thing you do, probably you copy this, put this in a browser engine or put that in any AI tools to ask them, hey, what is this error about? So the good thing is, there's a new features that you have in DevTools is that, do you spot the light bulb icon here? You can actually click on this, let's try, and then say that continue. So it will try to help you understand this error. So it will give you some explanation on what the error might be because. And then sometimes it will give you like some code example as well. So if you think that, oh, this explanation is not good enough, you can try to remove it and then try to regenerate it again. So it will try to like generate a different result to help you explain the same questions. So let's see. Yeah, so this time, it also helped me to, it also tell me like, how can I fix the issue? So if it say that, oh, probably I should add this access origin, this one, in the server. So I know that I copy this, and then I tell the server engineer, the backend engineer, to add this to the backend. But sometimes it takes time. So what I can do is I can copy this code, go to the network panel, right-click on the result, say that I overwrite the header, and then I can overwrite the response header by pasting it. And then if I do that again, I can go to here. So I can do this until the backend return the result. So you can overwrite the server header. Good. I did not ask for the clap this time. Thank you. So this is to help you understand better the code. One note though, these features, we launched this feature already in the US and outside of EU. In the EU, we are still, because this is something to do with AI and Gemini, so it's coming soon to the EU. We'll announce it once it's ready. So if you don't see the light bulb yet, probably you need to wait a little bit until we sort it out. Cool. Next thing, too many data, too many alert and warning here and there. It's a noise as well. And this actually distracts you from your actual work. This is also one of the frictions that you might have. So one of the things we do is that we also remove some warnings from the console so that you can search for the error that you want and to try to get into that. So if you have seen this error message before, DevTools failed to load source map, this is a lot, especially for those of you who have a lot of Chrome extension, install a lot of that. You see this message, it's good, but it's not useful for you because you can't ask the extension to, hey, don't load your source map, you are polluting my trace. So it's very hard for you. So now, we actually remove all these warning in the latest Chrome release. So try it out. If you have a better less console message, that's good. And the next thing is, we also try to help you to have the debugging quicker by ignoring things. So now we are ignoring content script injected by the Chrome extensions when you do the breakpoint debugging. We also ignore some of the frameworks folder, some of the framework code when you do that. And lastly, we also ignore something that in the node modules. Now your question is like, what do you mean by ignore? So this is where DevTools turn this setting on by default in the settings ignore list. So this is exactly what we turn it off. So for example, if you are in a Next.js application, now, let me go to here. In a Next.js application, if you go to the sources, you can see that all these folder are grayed out by default. because these are ignored by default. So now your question is like, how can this help me to debug better? So for example, for some of you, if you set event listener breakpoint, you want to capture all the mouse click on the page and debug that, you can go to this event listener, click on the click event, and when you click on that, when you try to start debugging, you straight away jump to this function here. And if you go closer, actually, you can have this show ignore listed frame to see like what have DevTools been, what have DevTools been ignoring. So by default, when you click on this mouse click, because there is like React code that's running behind, supposedly, you should be jumping to this React code first before go to this active list. And when you debug, step by step, sometimes it will suddenly jump to the framework code instead of your own code, but that's not what you want. So by ignoring the node modules folder and this framework file by default, you don't need to worry about that. You can just step by step, step into your own code instead of the browser code. So that makes things faster. Another thing that it improves is that in the console message. So let's say now, if you click on this activate a list button, it actually has an error here. So let's see. Look at this error message. Which line of the stack trace is the one that related to your code? It's only the first line, right? Yeah. And all the other line, basically, is not that helpful for you. Supposedly, if you remove them all, it can be helpful for you to view all the other message. So with that, we can actually shorten the console error and make fewer debugging pause when you do the testing. So this is the error message that we see just now. It's not just the error message. So if some of you have do the debugging before there's a drop down that you can click on that, there's actually two parts of the stack trace that you can look into, depending on what you are debugging. So on the top is the error stack trace. At the bottom is the message stack trace. So on the top basically tell you where did the error happen. So in this case, the index is on like line number 10. And then the bottom stack trace is to tell you where was the error log, the message log. Because you cache the message in like different area of your code, so the message log could be like somewhere different from from where the error happened. So the good thing is that in DevTools, we already used that information to collapse the bottom stack trace for you, the message stack trace for you. Now, if you click on it, if you expand it, you don't see like 18 others frame that is not related to you because we collapse it by default. You can just click and expand that to look into it. And the next thing, which is coming soon, is we will collapse this. The final result that we want to achieve is something like this. Just to show you one line, and then you can click Show Acknowledge to expand it. Is this good? Okay. This is still working process, and actually the contribution of this thing is thanks to the Vercel team. They actually sent a CL for us to fix this, so hopefully it will land soon. Okay, so the concept here is that, does this thing spark joy? If it's no, then we'll just hide it right away. And lastly, speaking about hiding, we also have some little improvement here. Last time, in the waterfall column, you will see like it takes the whole space in the network track, that now you can actually hide it. And the other one is that if you have a lot of extension and you try to debug your own network result, it will be polluting. Supposedly, you can use the incognito mode to do the debugging so that you don't have the extension. But now we added these features to let you to hide the extension URL from the network log itself. So this is quite helpful for you. The thing is, these two features have been, someone is creating for a long time. Let me show you the thing. So like this waterfall, like to remove the waterfall in the Stack Overflow, it has been requested for 6 years ago and viewed 9,000 times. And then this one, this year, like one of the users, so we also have a bug that created for six years ago. Then we received this message like recently, like, you know, there's too long of the message, but the gist is that it used like 8,000 developers find the network for nothing but to be a waste of space. So this person has been like consistently telling us that, hey, please remove it. It's not helpful for us for like 6 years. So good for you. If you are in the crowd, you finally can do that. But to be honest, 8,000 developers is important, but we also receive a lot of other requests that, for example, like the high extension is Vue 24K time is created 11 years ago, and we only recently put in the features because you actually have the alternative way to do it, and it doesn't, because of there's a lot of activities and we have a lot of features and we have limited resource, so it just doesn't rise up to the priority sometimes. So be patient with us. If you really want the features, keep asking. If you did not get it, keep asking and creating a feature request to us. And if you want, you can contribute a fix. It's actually a web application, the whole Chrome DevTools. So if you know how to develop web application, you actually can contribute to DevTools. This is the link for it if you are interested. So what we have done so far this year is that we try to make things obvious, attractive, and make it easy and satisfying for you to use. So I actually also highly recommend this book. So I read this Atomic Habit books to improve my personal habit. But actually, if I think of it, it's actually applied to like product, like the UX design as well, on how to help developers, how to help ourselves to do things more easily. So almost there, if you want to learn more about new features and do deep dive in DevTools, I try not to dismiss the What's New tab that pops up from time to time. Click on the link. You will see like some articles and a video to talk about like some new stuff and how can you use them to fix some of the issues. Okay, then thank you. That's all.